So let's say you want to change the country you live in, and you're sick to death of hearing about politicians. You are convinced that they can do no good for you. It's understandable. I would still argue that putting pressure on your politicians, at least in early 2023, is going to have the best overall effect for the effort put in. Simply because that's someone's paycheck who's dependent on, theoretically, pleasing you. In reality, getting your vote while pleasing big donors. But you have leverage over them. They still, so far, require your vote. Let's say you're done with dealing with that. You want a no politician route. Fair enough. We talked earlier about organizing locally for issues you believe in. Not only can you do that, you can do that and get government funding. Let's say there's an issue you care about. You want it dealt with, so you organize. You start a social media group. You have a plan. Potholes on your streets, let's say. Apply for a grant from the government. Link in the description. The government is constantly funding activists of all sorts. Rather, they're funding community programs. There is a stream of grants, particularly since the days of COVID, that are designed for Americans to take advantage of if they want to get something done. So if you want to get something done yourself, and you're looking for a tangible way to have an effect, for example, you need to buy tools to do the work, or you need, say it's removing graffiti from your city. Got a lot of graffiti. It's been there for years. It's not the pretty kind. It's a bunch of curse words or whatever. Put in for a grant. That simple. In this, I put 2 links in the description about this. One is just sort of the overview, and the other is the actual search page. Where, as you can see up there, I screenshotted it. You can narrow it down by all sorts of criteria. Think about what you want to do to make your community better, to make America better. And apply for one of these grants. And then you can get the funding to get it done. This is money on the table, and I'll tell you, the people who normally take it are big business. Not even big business. Let me take that back. The people that normally take it are medium business. If you know somebody in your town that owns like 3 dealerships, and they're comparatively rich, but they're, not a 100+ millionaire, they're like maybe they got 10 million in the bank. That's the kind of person that normally gets these grants. And they normally use them for things that mostly benefit them and then benefit the community a little. Best case scenario, you'll get somebody that is looking essentially for free advertisement. They get 4 or 5 of their employees to do some charitable work funded by the government, and then they get all the newspaper write-ups and local news stations and yada, 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 essentially saying, look, this Chevrolet dealer is doing this thing. That's fine. If they're actually doing what they say they're going to do, fine. My point is there's nothing stopping you from getting a hold of that grant money. There are grants for all sorts of things. Just keep your eyes out. If you want to know what you can do in your community to make it better, to organize on a local level, even to build a reputation as someone in your community who's just a known person, a helper. This is a great way to get started. It's great because, first of all, it's funding. You actually get the ability to do things, spend money, If you want to beautify the city, get rid of that old graffiti, yeah, you need a power washer. Okay, well, this grant is for $15,000. That's hires a power washer, a crew. Great, get to it. It's also great because it gives you restrictions. By looking up these grants, you see one that's close to what you want, it'll give you certain boundaries, certain boxes that need to be ticked. That's very useful when you're getting started, because it stops you from going all over the place. It focuses you onto one specific issue, one specific problem to solve. Now, this, of course, means you have to have some necessary skill set, some relevant ability that would justify the government giving you this grant. And in fact, most of these are not for individuals. But if you can demonstrate that you have the ability to do whatever thing the grant says needs fulfilling, apply for it. There's nothing wrong with applying for it. Essentially, you just got to keep the receipts and file the paperwork they tell you to file. They explain to you in the grants what they need. Worth sinking your teeth into. And it segues quite nicely into what you can do if you are willing to talk to politicians. Because if you're somebody who has demonstrated that you can do this, you are certainly going to get the attention of local leaders. They're going to want to have your ear, and that is something you can take advantage of. I know it feels like gloom and doom a lot, because we have a big job ahead of us. The good news is that big job can be broken down into smaller tasks, and what feels like a small effort likely goes farther than you think it does. The gap between having done nothing and having beaten this evil, it's not as wide as it seems. It's there. There's work to do. But it's not impossible. And we can overcome it. I'll be here with you. And if you do, by the way, take any of this advice and put any of it into action, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I like to hold up people who are actually taking action, who are actually making a difference, or at the very least trying to inspire others. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. I've been your old pal Jake. I'll see you next time.